what can I do now? And I thought, well, I just have to plead with the crowd. And so I did. I looked down and I said, is there anyone else here who would consider marrying me for the day? In my wisdom, I thought it seemed really important to get a piece of paper and a pen and just start jotting down a list of things that I thought would make me smile if I tried them. Just going into the recesses of my mind and just drawing out whatever I could, any thought, ambition, dream, desire, anything that I thought would make me feel good. And one thing quickly turned into 10, into 20, into 50, into 100 things. And I remember looking down on this bit of paper and thinking, this is an opportunity for me to change my life. This is an opportunity for me to be happy. All I have to do is commit. And so I made the decision very shortly after that moment to drop everything in my life to pursue my list. And you're going to judge me, and it's absolutely fine. I don't mind. But I flew straight to Las Vegas because I'd always wanted to marry a stranger there. Now, if you can see the screen, you're looking at a photo of the time I got married in Las Vegas. Now, what happened? It's a long story, and there's various ways of telling this. But I met an exotic dancer called Crystal, mud wrestling, and I met her in a pool of mud. We were all covered in mud, and I proposed to her, and I was very honest. I said, "Look, I've come here to find someone to marry for the day. Would you mind marrying me?" And she said, "Yes, I'm not doing anything tomorrow, so why not?" So it was perfect. So then I went and then found this wedding drive-through chapel called the Say I Do Wedding Drive-Through. And none of these people in front of the vehicle that you're looking at knew me. They just heard of the story. So there was, 20, 30 people there. And everything was going swimmingly well to the point where I thought, well, what's going to happen? Surely something's not going to go right. And that was, of course, that my bride-to-be, Crystal, didn't turn up. And I was left quite embarrassed because this was the first. I can actually see a few of your faces, and it looks like you're being sympathetic, which is too generous. But I was kind of left red-faced, and I thought, what can I do now? And I thought, well, I just have to plead with the crowd. And so I did. I looked down and I said, is there anyone else here who would consider marrying me for the day? Please. And would you believe someone said yes? Her name was Shivali. And Shivali was the receptionist of my hostel. As it happened, she'd always wanted to marry someone for the day as well. She was just looking for the right person, which I think was me. So she said yes. She hopped on top of the Hummer. Elvis was fantastic, of course. We had a very awkward moment when he asked us to kiss because it was the first and the last time, I should mention, that we ever touched, which will dispel that question. I think you're probably wondering. And that's no. So that was the time I got married. Now, okay, in itself, is this motivational? Is it inspiring? Does it change the world? Does it talk and lend itself to the notion of connection and growth? No, of course it doesn't. But what I can tell you is that it changed my life. Why do I say that? Well, as I try and get off this shared screen, why do I say that? It changed my life because it changed the way I started to think about how I could proceed in life. I'd achieved plenty of things before, and we all do, obviously, as we navigate through life. From the moment we're born, we start exploring and we're guided in certain ways. But all the things that I had achieved were things that were set out for me from other people. I'd never really thought about doing something for myself. Forgetting the materialistic elements of what I did, marrying a stranger, etc. Conceptually, what I had done, it dawned on me, was that I had chosen something that made me smile. And I had given my full energy to it. And I went through the process of getting there. And in that, I felt instantly unstoppable. I felt empowered. I felt in control of my life. Stood or sat on top of that Hummer, surrounded by strangers, married to one of them. I felt like the most successful person on the planet. More importantly than that, obviously I'm not. I just felt happy. I was smiling. And so too were the people around me. And I thought, well, I'm not going to stop. So I haven't. From that moment on, I've gone on to tick off quite a few things. It's taken me almost 11 years so far. I've ticked off 72 things. It's turned into a big sort of fundraising platform for various charities who I'm affiliated with. And of course, I'm no longer in control of this journey. What's interesting is that it's kind of beckoned the interest of a lot of other people through potentially the abstract nature of my list. So I lived on the streets of Sydney for a week. I read the weather on national television in Canada. They just said bring a suit. So I did. I visited an inmate on death row who's still alive. If you're interested, I became a Guinness World Record holder for crushing eggs on my big toes. And I can see all the screens here and no one's clapping. That's fine. And then I'm joking. I pushed a friend of mine in a wheelchair, and I'll get back to this story in a little bit. But I guess to kind of round this off, I'm not here to talk about all the things I've done. That's absolutely not my care. This, to me, is far more important. This was the first time that anyone approached me who was on the brink of taking their own life, but didn't.